So Nancy Pelosi is worried that there's going to be a deep fake. Yes, she's worried that there's going to be a flood of doctored videos and phony disinformation spread on the likes of Facebook and YouTube, and that is going to cost the Democrats the 2020 election. Good morning, it's Pastor Marty from the Afternoon Drive. It's our Friday edition, and already Democrats are lining up their excuses and the next series of investigations when Donald Trump wins re-election. It won't be Russian collusion. It's now going to be deep fake videos and other technological threats that are going to thwart the 2020 election. It couldn't possibly be that the Democrats are running incredibly incapable individuals that have absolutely no idea what to do to actually govern this nation and make it stronger and make it better and make it more prosperous. What they have are platitudes, hate Trump, and just off-the-wall social justice, take every type of miscreant, weirdo, abnormal individual and somehow bring them to the table as completely normal, and the rest of us have to accept their deviant behavior and weirdness, and it's on us if we don't, and companies like Gillette will remind us that we need to embrace them because they're now apparently making razors specifically for transgendered individuals who used to be women and are now men. No, you're not men. You're not. The reason you have a hard time growing facial hair is you're not a man. Had to get that off my chest. But here's the real dirty secret. And it's the obvious secret. It's so obvious it's actually the truth and it's not hidden. And that's this. It's the Democrats who lie, cheat, and steal elections. Nothing like morning coffee. Who is it that will register illegals who are not even citizens of this country in places like California to vote? Who would that be? Is that the GOP? Is that the conservatives? Is that the Donald Trump people? No, it's Democrats. That's what was happening in Georgia, which is why Alyssa Fathead Milano doesn't want to go to Georgia anymore, doesn't want any Hollywood production companies to do business in Georgia. Two things. One, the fetal heartbeat bill. You know, obviously we can't make movies in a state that once they detect the heartbeat of a baby, they don't want it murdered. But what kicked off Alyssa Milano's hatred for the Peach State was the fact that her candidate got cheated out of being governor because they didn't let her candidate register illegal aliens who aren't even citizens of the country to vote there.
Well, after all, the policies we make affect them too. They should get a say.
That would be like the warden at a prison asking the inmates, hey, what kind of rule should we have here? That would be like asking welfare recipients, how big do you want your check to be? Oh, wait, Democrats do that too. So we know that they register illegal voters, or I should say illegal aliens to vote. Then, of course, let's not forget the 1960 election when the Democrats were registering dead people. You know, whenever I see a line of hearse on a election day, I just automatically assume, aha, they're on their way to a precinct somewhere to vote because they've been recruited by Acorn or some other nutweed, dillweed Democratic organization to get the vote out. But what we really have going on right now, and it's being very underreported, and this is serious, and this is sarcasm turned off. The Electoral College process is being overturned. Yesterday, Governor Kate Brown of Oregon officially became the 15th state to sign a bill which allows the Electoral College electors of her state, which I believe Oregon has 7 electoral votes, to not vote and cast those electoral votes for the winner of her state, but whoever wins the national popular vote. Now let that sink in, because 14 other states have done the same thing, and apparently Maine is about to come on board with this, which would make it 16 states which are saying, look, even if Donald Trump wins our state, if it turns out that the popular vote was more for, shall we say, Joe Biden, then we're going to give our electoral votes not to the winner of our state, we're going to give them to the winner of the popular vote. Even if he was only the popular vote in about 4 states where the mass population is, that's who we're going to give our electoral vote. This is so unconstitutional and so dangerous. Now, in order for them to actually do this on Election Day, they have to have garnered enough states together in this collective that they hold 270 electoral votes. Right now, after Oregon signed on last night, they are 74 electoral votes away. Did you hear what I just said? They are 74 electoral votes away. And as the campaign heats up, and as Donald Trump gets his mojo working and gets his stride back and gets into full-blown campaign mode, the libs are not going to take any chances this time around that people will just not vote for the orange man and that everybody in this country hates him as much as we do. They're going to find those other 74 electoral votes. Now, for those of you that may not fully understand, or you think you don't agree with the Electoral College process, well,
It just makes sense to me that whoever wins the popular vote ought to be the president, right?
take baseball. Baseball teams play each other usually in 3-game series. Now, sometimes it's 2. But for the most part, when, say, the Mets go play the Dodgers, it's a 3-game series. When the Dodgers come to New York, it's a 3-game series. Now, let's say in the very first game of that 3-game series, the Dodgers beat the Mets 10-0. But in the next 2 games of that series, the Mets win 1-0. The Mets win the series. But the Dodgers scored more runs. Let me explain that again if you're not up on baseball or sports in general. If the Dodgers beat the Mets in one game of a 3-game series 10-0, the Dodgers have won that game. But if the Mets come back the very next night and win the game 1-0, they win that game. And if they come back the third night and beat the Dodgers 1-0, then that means out of a 3-game series, the Mets won 2 games, the Dodgers won 1 game, but the Mets have won that series. That's how the Electoral College process works. But Hillary got nearly 3 million more votes than Donald Trump, man. Yes, in California. California. So we're going to allow California, New York, and East Coast liberals decide for the rest of the country? Really? Then you might just as well right now kiss your citizenship goodbye. Because the Democrats have already proven they're more interested in the rights of illegal aliens than they are your rights. And you listen to all these Democratic candidates right now. I think it was Castro was on Faux Pas News, formerly known as Fox News last night, having a town hall and promising the crowd one of the very first things he will do is roll back, repeal the Trump tax cuts. It is the Trump tax cuts which have fueled this economy. This economy is rocking like never before. But of course, the Democrats, they love to use That same little catchphrase that they always use, tax cuts for the rich, we're going to do it for the middle class. The middle class is benefiting tremendously. Even better than during the Reagan years. The middle class is benefiting tremendously from the Trump tax cuts. They're employed. And they have job security and job growth. It's amazing what's happening with this economy right now. Donald Trump gets an A+++ for the economy. And there are a lot of Democrats, they know it. He gets no credit for it because of the way the media just relentlessly vilifies and attacks him day in and day out. But the media knows Donald Trump's got it on the economy. And they mock him now a little bit. Well, you would think with the economy being this strong, his poll numbers would be better. His poll numbers are great when you think about the fact that day in and day out, basically, what is it that CNN and PMSNBC and LBGT TV tell us that we have in the White House? A homophobic, racist, xenophobe dictator who hates children and is a monster and a molester and the most vile individual to ever serve in the capacity of president, and no doubt works and collaborates with all of our true enemies like Russia to thwart the election and steal your rights. This is what people hear day in, day out, 24/7 on the mainstream propaganda machine you mistakenly call the free press and the media. They are not media. They are not a free press. They are a propaganda machine. Period. Joseph Goebbels would be so proud of what the liberals have done to the media in this country. And here's where we fight back on platforms like this. And platforms like this are getting ready to say goodbye and sayonara to conservative voices like mine. So, the shenanigans of 2020 as Nancy Botox Pelosi starts talking about this is how they're going to steal the election. And when Donald Trump wins re-election, the investigations that will go on, and then you're not only going to see people removed from media platforms like YouTube and BitChute and others, you're going to see them prosecuted. Creators of memes. I've made memes. Memes are fun. And they're funny. That's hate speech. That's disinformation. This is not what we want you to do. We're going to send you to a very special place, and you will be re-educated. And yet it's the Democrats always calling the Trump people the fascists and the Nazis. Who are the real enemies of freedom and freedom of speech? You need to keep an eye on what's going on with these states trying to overturn the Electoral College. This is dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. And again, if you're not up on how the Electoral College works, we'll sit down and watch a 5-minute tutorial video on how the electoral process is actually a stroke of genius by our founding fathers. Rather than letting the mass centers of population have all the control in this country, they wanted the country as a whole to have a voice. You take away the Electoral College, Rust Belt, South, might as well stay home. Because California, New York, and New England will decide. And if that happens, you can kiss America goodbye. Because you will see the absolute shredding of the Constitution at that point, literally, because we can't be governed by a 200-year-old piece of paper written by a bunch of rich, white slave owners. There's a lot at stake in 2020, but going into 2020, there's even more at stake because these people are now signaling it's no holds barred. Though we complain about the decorum of Donald Trump and his temperament, we are going to be as viscerally vile as possible, and we're going to cheat, cheat, cheat. We dare you to try to stop us. Pay attention, get engaged, get involved, sound the alarm. Thanks for tuning in today. Please spread this video. And I'm not simply asking you to do this so that we can get the subscriptions back up. I'm asking you to spread this particular video because the information in it is vitally important. It is a dangerous thing that now 15 states, soon to be 16, are enacting legislation to overturn the Electoral College process. This absolutely cannot happen. That said, please subscribe to the channel if you don't do so already, and smack the bell to get my next rant.